Once More with Feeling is a collaboration between myself and Camilla Brown, who's a senior curator at the Photographers Gallery in London. And the reason we wanted to work together was because we were both interested in showing photography by artists from parts of the world that don't normally get seen in the UK. The show doesn't specifically set out to say anything about Colombia. It's not a survey of Colombian photography in that sense, and we didn't try to do that, we didn't want to do that. It's a selection of 6 artists, and some of that work does specifically refer to things that happened in Colombia. For instance, María Elvira Escallón's work From Within, which is a series of photographs taken in the aftermath of a bomb in the capital city. But equally, you could kind of transfer what she's done there and it could be applied to any terrorist attack in the world. It's not necessarily specifically Colombian. And what we have tried to do in this work is select work that is universal and that can, you know, engage an audience wherever they are, and that was something that was really important to us as curators. The exhibition is called Once More with Feeling because the work that we selected was very much to do with the ideas of repetition and performance and doing things over and over again, or revisiting something again. Oscar Muñoz's video is called Retrato, and Retrato is Spanish for portrait, but it also means I try again. And you can see from the video that it's Oscar's hand actually painting his self-portrait on a hot pavement in Cali, just painting with water, and that heat from the pavement is making the water evaporate so that he can never complete this drawing of himself. And one way you can interpret that is it's about the difficulty of fixing an image, and in particular fixing your own self-image, because you as a person are constantly changing. Repetition is a really important theme in the show, and I think Guerra y Paz by War and Peace by Juan Manuel Echavarría illustrates that really well. It's basically a video of 2 parrots fighting each other, and Juan Manuel actually had these 2 parrots trained in Cartagena in the coast of Colombia, and it took about 8 months for one of them to say war, guerra, and one of them to say peace. And then the video is basically the interaction of these parrots as they kind of chase each other around their perch, and one attacks the other. And I think it turned out to be the male one that was the aggressive one that said war, and the female one that says peace. So you could interpret that as a comment on Colombia, the fact that Colombia has been in a situation of conflict since the 1950s at least, and that they're in this continual cycle of war and peace and nothing ever really changes. And that's what Juan Manuel was referring to. But equally, it's quite a universal sort of idea, and it could be war of the sexes or it could be any kind of conflict. And I think that's why the piece has such appeal, plus the fact that it's very humorous.
These are some that have just come out like that, which I love.
Miss Photo Japón by Juan Pablo Echeverri is a visual diary in which Juan Pablo takes a passport photo of himself every day, and he's been doing this for at least 7 years. It's really a kind of performance where he likes to dress up and make lots of changes to his appearance, so that it's quite hard to tell at first glance that all these different people are in fact Juan Pablo Echeverri. So it's very much about this daily constant performance of being himself. The reason the work's called Miss Photo Japón is because it refers to the Photo Japón photographic store in Colombia. It's like this big chain of photographic stores, and that's where Juan Pablo goes every day in Bogotá to have his photo made. Now what's interesting is it's not an automated photo booth like we have in the UK. It's actually like a little room, a small booth that you go into, and a hatch will open and one of the assistants will actually come through with a camera and take your photo. Vampiros en la Sabana is really a piece about performance and identity. They're the 2 key issues in it, and it's really about the way in which these people go through this daily performance of constructing their own identity, and they do that through the way that they dress and the makeup. And it's all about showing to themselves and to other people that they're part of this group, this subculture of being a goth. And it's also about kind of acting out their fantasies. You know, lots of them have talked about this idea of getting ideas from MTV or from posters or records or whatever. And they have an idea of this kind of goth world, which is quite European, actually, in how it looks. And in the photographs that Maria's produced, she's tried to recreate this by using spaces that she's found in Bogotá itself to actually visualise this world within Colombia.
Como corre el campesino, caramba, buscando dónde escapar. para que en los enfrentamientos, hombre, no los vayan a matar.
Bocas de Ceniza, Mouths of Ash by Juan Manuel Echeverria is a video documenting 7 people singing songs that they have composed themselves, and the songs are about things that have happened to them, events that they've witnessed. They're all people from the countryside of Colombia who have been forced to flee their homes because of the violence happening there. It's very important for them that they should tell their stories in their own words so that people recognise what's happening to them and that the things that have happened to them aren't forgotten. Desde Adentro, From Within by María Elvira Escallón is a work that she made in the building in which she herself worked as an art curator. And what happened was a bomb was planted in the base of the building and exploded, and then there was a fire resulting from that within the building. Now, several days later, Maria had to go back to check the artwork, and that's when she made these photographs. And basically they're photographs of the walls of the building, very simple, and they show the smoke, the blackened kind of sooted walls. And there are these ghostly outlines of the furniture and paintings that have been removed that kind of leave these traces of absence on the walls. And also the traces of people's hands and fingers you can see where they try to find their way out from the building. So it's a very moving and emotional piece that stands as a memory to what happened. And it's also in complete contrast to how the media might present something like that. It doesn't show anything gory or explicit. It's very much about the traces, the aftermath of the event, and that was really important for Maria to present the event in that light.
And the point when I arrived.
Milena Bonilla's work, Plano Transitorio, Transitory Map, is a piece which she made on the buses in Bogota, and it's a kind of combination of performance and photography. And she came across on these bus seats lots of slits and cuts in them, as you sometimes see when people have slashed them up, vandals or whatever, and she decided to repair them, and she described it as healing these wounds. But she actually used this very brightly coloured thread so that you see this evidence after that this violent event had taken place, but there was still something that was recorded that you could see, so the memory wasn't lost. In the work Archivo por Contacto, Archive by Contact, which is a work by Oscar Muñoz on Mauricio Prieto, is based around an archive of photographs that Oscar Muñoz found, I think in the 1970s, and it's basically an archive from a commercial photography company. Now this company would send out photographers onto the bridge in Cali, which is at the very centre of the town, and a bridge that people cross daily. And these photographs would take pictures of people as they passed and then try to sell them to the people afterwards. Now what happened, obviously the negatives remained with the company and there were lots of uncollected photos, and this is the archive which Oscar has acquired. What Oscar Muñoz and Mauricio Prieto then did with the archive was to look at ways that they could get back in contact with the people who were actually in the photos that they had. So they staged an event back on the bridge in Cali and invited people to revisit it and to come back, either to bring photos that they had in their family albums or their wallets, or to actually look at the photographs that they had and with magnifying glasses and find out if they were there or their family members were there. And what's really interesting in the video, which they then made from that event, is that you see people talking about their memories of that time, and they're very conflicting memories. People don't have the same experience, even though they were in the same city at the same time. And some people remember it as a really good time or a bad time. They remember the city as being beautiful or dirty, whatever. So they really kind of dispute the idea that there's this one collective memory that we all share, and they show that it's something very personal.
Esta foto es mía del año 60. A ver, yo voy a mostrar las dos.
Aquí en esa foto íbamos para cine. Ahí para el Teatro Calima, Teatro Bolívar.
Yo tengo una foto muy parecida cuando ya hace más o menos 30 años ya. Es que sí, es que va la mamá, pues esto soy yo era de pelito así todo.
Aquí había una cosa española, la Casa de Troya. La Casa de Troya que te ponían unas pailas, unas cosas de todo. Y por aquí había un local de un muchacho